What began as murmurs behind closed doors has erupted into a full-scale internal confrontation, where players no longer whisper their frustrations but broadcast them across the entire sports world. And the most striking part of this moment is how a league celebrating its biggest surge in popularity now finds itself wrestling with a widening fracture between those who play the game and those who govern it. As the brightest star the WNBA has ever seen brings unprecedented attention and record-breaking ratings, the players have grown more outspoken about what they believe is a broken system. They are not simply asking for a raise. They are demanding respect, transparency, and leadership that reflects their contributions. That emotional weight is what sits at the center of this moment. It is not a negotiation over numbers. It is a negotiation over dignity. The confrontation began simmering long before Nafisa Collier stepped up to the microphone. For years, players have been pushing for improvements while the league told them to be patient. But patience became impossible the moment Caitlin Clark entered the league and detonated every metric that previously defined women's basketball. Attendance doubled. Merchandising spiked to historic levels. Broadcast viewership reached heights the WNBA had never imagined. The players saw their value in real time, in ways that could no longer be brushed aside with vague reassurances. The league is not dealing with athletes who are guessing at their economic worth. They are dealing with a workforce armed with clear evidence that their contributions are transforming the sport. This is why Collier's statement hit harder than a typical contract complaint. It was not fueled by emotion alone. It was fueled by years of accumulated friction and the sudden realization that the players no longer need to ask politely for what they deserve. They have leverage, they have evidence, and they have the public on their side. When Collier called out the league's leadership with precision and conviction, she spoke not as an isolated voice but as the vessel carrying the frustrations of an entire generation of players who felt invisible to the very executives responsible for representing them. The timing of her words could not have been more dramatic. While the league hoped the WNBA Finals would dominate headlines, the real story became the growing divide between the players and the commissioner's office. Suddenly, every interview, every media session, every press conference came with the same underlying tension. How long could this battle simmer before it boiled over completely? And when Caitlin Clark finally broke her silence, she did not fan the flames, but she did not extinguish them either. She acknowledged the validity of Collier's frustrations. She recognized the need for leadership across all levels. She spoke calmly, carefully, thoughtfully, but she made it clear she saw the cracks. Her silence on certain questions spoke louder than anything she said. When she admitted the commissioner had not reached out to her, it was the kind of moment that leaves a chill in a room. The league's biggest star, the centerpiece of their growth strategy, the reason their media rights deal ballooned to unimaginable heights, and she heard nothing directly from the person leading the league. That silence alone became a symbol of the relationship problem Adam Silver later acknowledged. And it was Silver's admission that turned this from a private issue into a public crisis. When the commissioner of the NBA steps forward and says there are relationship issues inside the WNBA, it signals that the problem has reached a level impossible to contain. Silver has always prided himself on diplomacy, on strategic communication, on projecting stability. For him to concede publicly that trust is eroded between players and leadership is a sign that the fracture is deeper than the league has been willing to show. The economic context surrounding this conflict makes everything even more volatile. The WNBA is entering a period of historic financial expansion. Franchise valuations have skyrocketed. The league's media rights deal is worth billions. Expansion teams are on the horizon. And for the first time, the entire ecosystem is being pulled upward by global interest rather than niche attention. Yet the players are receiving less than 10% of the league's revenue. They are watching their sport explode while their compensation remains tethered to an outdated system that never anticipated this level of success. The financial disparity becomes even more pressing when you factor in the physical demands of the sport. These athletes endure intense travel, inconsistent facilities, and a grueling schedule that looks nothing like the polished environment of their NBA counterparts. They push their bodies year-round, often having to play overseas to make a livable income. Now that the WNBA is earning more, the players want the league to grow with them, not over them. The frustration is not coming from bench players or fringe contributors. It is coming from the faces of the league. When Aya Wilson, Sophie Cunningham, Angel Reese, and other stars echoed Collier's frustration, it signaled something seismic. Superstars rarely voice this level of discontent unless the problem is systemic. Cunningham's comments about leadership not understanding basketball revealed another layer of the issue, A belief that decisions are being made by people who may understand business metrics but not the real-world experience of the athletes. And beneath all of this, time is running out. The extension on the CBA gives the league a few more weeks to negotiate, but deadlines do not fix fractures. Pressure does not heal trust. The players have made it clear that they want a new system, not a temporary patch. The urgency in the league office is palpable because they know what a work stoppage would mean. It would mean losing the momentum Caitlin Clark created. It would mean losing leverage in media negotiations. It would mean losing global credibility at the exact moment the world has finally started paying attention. The WNBA is perched between its greatest opportunity and its greatest risk. What happens in the coming weeks will determine whether the league ascends into a new era of growth or collapses under the weight of unresolved conflict. The players are united. The leadership is cornered. And the future is balanced on the edge of a negotiation that will define the next generation of women's basketball. Let me know what you think in the comments. Can the WNBA repair this relationship with its players before the deadline hits? How should the league respond to restore trust? And what changes would you like to see in the new CBA? If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.